Gordon, what's in this box?
Hey, this is what people have been waiting for. They've been holding off on their gaming laptop purchases. This is, well, some people have who followed the news a few weeks ago at CES. NVIDIA, of course, released its RTX for laptops. This is probably one of the most impressive laptops. There were plenty of really great laptops at CES, but this one really was impressive because of what MSI did. Well, let's unbox it. This is the GS75, the follow-up to the GS65. Decently small brick. But this is what is amazing here. This is a 17-inch gaming laptop.
Oh, yeah.
It weighs
Pretty.
less than 5 pounds. Right?
17-inch. I love myself a 17-inch laptop.
So,
got a nice little
GS75.
protective sticker on it. Still got those nice those gold flourishes.
Got the gold flourishes. It's like a big version of the GS65, which was impressive because it was so lightweight. Also, I want to point out again, they have beefed up the chassis. The original GS65 introduced, they did fix it later on, was a little flexible, scary flexible. They actually later on beefed it up. This is not, like again, holding it by one corner. But this has, of course, GeForce RTX in it, but 5 pounds. Let's find out. Just for comparison, previous generation Origin Razer Blade 15, GTX Max 1070 Max Q, and previous version Origin PC Eon 17S. It's actually a slim 17-inch laptop. Actually, pretty impressive for what it is.
Yeah, not too bad.
But look at this. Right? This is the body of the Eon 17S. Very slim laptop. There are a lot of 17-inch laptops that are just a lot bigger. This thing is just super thin.
It's not bad.
Let's compare it to the Razer Blade 15-inch laptop. It's pretty thin.
Dang.
But I think the thing that, you know, people get into their thin contest, what really matters is the weight. Razer Blade 15, we're going to weigh it right here. 4 pounds, 9 ounces, let's call it.
All right, rounding up.
Origin PC, and let's be fair, they both Origin and Razer also have RTX laptops coming, but 6 pounds, 12 ounces, that's, you know, it's pretty close to 7 pounds. Decent for a 17-inch laptop. Let's see if they can really hit sub 5 pounds as they claim.
Dang. All
yeah.
Right. I mean, right under.
4 pounds, 14 ounces. And that is the amazing thing because you are getting, let's find out what's in here. I don't know what we got in this configuration. Gonna turn it on. Hopefully battery's got a charge. It does.
What about the power bricks too?
Oh, should I break out the power brick?
Yeah, might as well see how these compare.
Yeah, let's actually, that is something that people...
I mean, it's a consideration. You're not going to take these kind of laptops without actual bricks.
So here is the standard Delta 230 that is with the Origin. And I believe this one is 180 or 230. Let's see, 230. So they have a slim down. This is a Chicone. This is a Delta.
Okay.
Definitely a little bit smaller.
And then how much does that weigh?
Oh, yeah, let's do it without the cable. All right. This is a pretty much Delta 1 pound, 9 ounces, let's call it. 1 pound, 10 ounces. Actually slightly heavier. Could be the cable's a little bit thicker maybe. I would say you're not really getting a weight savings from the power brick. And of course here's a Razer, which, you know, is a pretty cool Razer. 230 watts. And we'll might as well weigh this too. They have a pretty beefy cable on here.
It's a long cable.
Yeah, and you get the rubber leash on there. It's actually the lightest. The Razer is actually the lightest.
Okay.
It does have this proprietary connector on there. But
still, you know, power brick, something to keep in mind.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Not as good as that Razer Blade.
So what about configuration in the
what we get in here.
75?
What do we got? Wait, why does it say GeForce GTX?
That's funny. I got the wrong.
We got the wrong
Got the wrong
wallpaper on
wallpaper.
there. So this is an RTX 2080 Max Q, which I want to again let people know, if you see basically a thin and light laptop like this, it's going to have Max Q. A lot of the vendors are not calling it out as Max Q. I'm not sure what's going on there, but there's a difference in performance between Max Q and non-Max Q. There is some people saying, NVIDIA's telling people to just sort of like not call that out. I don't know.
Dang. Well,
Sub 5 pound, 7-inch screen, 2080. We're gonna do a couple quick performance benchmarks just to give you an idea how fast it is. I don't have the final price yet, but I'm gonna ask for it before this video's over.
All right, we're back, and you did a little more testing than we thought you'd do.
A little bit more in
Yeah.
the allotted time I had.
But we wanted to come into the studio here because that allows us to kind of show a little bit more of the benchmarks and the deeper stuff that you're known for doing. So why don't we dig right into it?
So, okay, because this is a laptop, you cannot separate the CPU from it. We are going to look at the laptop as well. You're paying for the CPU, you might as well find out how it performs. Good news, GS75 does great. First up, Cinebench R15, of course, multi-threaded benchmark, right where you think it'd be, basically in line with most of the other i7 parts that we've seen. The 8750Hs, 6 cores, fantastic CPU, pretty much right there. Only i9 is going to be faster, or Ryzen 7. So it's a great chip. Next result, Handbrake. Again, this is a test to see if the CPU has thermal issues when you heat it up. No surprise. GS75 Stealth does fantastic. It's about a 30-minute encode, and it's a little bit faster than a lot of the other 8750Hs we've seen. So, but not a huge difference. Basically, CPUs, everything you expect of MSI's. You know, GS65, GS75 line. Great part, right?
Awesome.
Last metric you do need to know: it is a laptop. How it runs on battery. You're going to want to know 82 watt-hour battery, 6-core 8th gen CPU, RTX 2080 Max Q. Still very decent battery life. There's no G-Sync, which would force the GPU on most of the time. So you're getting damn near 6.5 to 7 hours of battery life out of it. I think ASUS claims a little bit more. I think they said 8 hours at CES. But the fact we're seeing near 7 hours, we run it at a fairly bright screen setting, about 250 to 260 nits. We do it in airplane mode, and we just loop a 4K movie with earbuds in till it dies, and
That's
that
not
is
bad.
very decent.
Yeah,
and I say
that is
that
not
because
bad.
that basically runs with all of the 15-inch gaming laptops with big batteries. The Aero 15 has been fantastic for battery life.
Wow.
This is right there with the Aero 15s. All of the other 17-inch laptops that we've seen, you know, like especially like the Zephyrus, or that's a 15, but like the Evo 17S, the Alienware 17, the Predator, they are generally sub 3 hour battery life because they have G-Sync, they're big, they
And
don't
full
have huge
desktop
batteries.
parts, too.
Full desktop parts
Yeah.
in some of them.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can really get usable battery life out of the GS75, that's a good deal.
That's
right?
not bad. That's not bad.
Not bad. What you want to know about Adam, I bet, is gaming performance.
Gaming graphics.
We're going to kick it off. First one is Rise of the Tomb Raider. We run it at very high settings. DX11 mode, because when we started using it, we ran DX11. DX12 was pretty iffy on drivers, pretty iffy even on the game. It's been patched many times since then. DX11 gives you probably a more stable view of it, and you're seeing that RTX 2080 Max Q and the GS75 top here. It's actually
Smokes it.
impressively faster
Wow.
than most of the 1070 full tilt 1070s, which are not fast. They're not slow parts. Those full tilt 1070s. It's actually slightly faster, definitely faster than the GX501 with its 1080 Max Q. And interestingly, definitely faster, slightly meaning 10 to 15% faster than the Alienware 17R4, older part, but full tilt 1080. So very good showing. You know,
Wow,
I mean,
and-
DX11
And
too.
this is without ray tracing, correct?
This is without ray tracing, of course. Another non-ray tracing test, just to give you a hint. Middle Earth, Shadows of Mordor, we run this at on ultra settings, 4K textures, and 1080p. Now we're going to see the Alienware with its higher clock part and full tilt 1080. Slightly edge the 2080, the Max Q, but definitely the 2080 Max Q is faster than the other laptops that we're comparing to, all the 1070s, the Vega 56, the 1070 Max Qs. But again, one of the problems with using games to judge. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using games to judge. In a desktop where you can pull it out and the CPU doesn't change, the RAM doesn't change, you're getting different thermal solutions, you're getting different CPUs in all these laptops. There's a big difference in all of them. It's a little tough to isolate it. So I also like to look at a lot of synthetic benchmarks. First up, 3D Mark Firestrike, specifically just the graphics benchmark. This calls out the CPU performance and is like 99% what you're gonna see from the laptop. Maybe not 99, 98% what you can see out of the graphics part in this. And again, this is actually very similar to what we saw, the full tilt 1080, higher clocks in a thicker laptop. Definitely a little bit faster than the 2080 Max-Q. 1080s and big fat laptops are pretty fast parts though. But against the Max-Q and the Zephyrus, the 1080 Max-Q part, the 2080 is definitely faster, and of course you just the other laptops get slower in there. You're not seeing this huge delta you might expect in Firestrike, and I think part of that is Firestrike is a pretty old test. It doesn't really do a lot. So we also ran 3D Mark Time Spy graphics. Again, we're looking only at the graphics subscore, not the overall score, which factors in the CPU a little bit. Time Spy, there's just more tessellation, there's more shader tests, there's just a ton more, like 5 and 10 times depending on the test. Once we do that, we actually see the RTX 2080 Max-Q come up on top. Very decent performance increase over that, even that full tilt 1080 part.
Wow.
And when you're looking at the 1080 Max-Q part in the Zephyrus, you're looking at 15%, and then you get down to 1070 Max-Q. It just, like against a 1070 Max-Q, you're looking at 45% more performance. I think it's like about 17% over that 1080 Max-Q. So that's not a bad showing over previous generation parts. Of course, RTX wasn't really a huge jump over previous parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Desktop was really 1080 was about the speed of a 2070, sorta.
Mm-hmm.
So not a bad showing. Of course, what you want to know is ray tracing performance. That's where it gets a little squiffy. So I ran 3D Mark Port Royal on the GS75 with the RTX 2080 Max-Q, and then I went and I grabbed some numbers. PC Gamer did some testing when Port Royal first came out. The test is only a ray tracing benchmark, and you look at this chart, and it makes you a little uneasy. I actually expected, because Max-Q, you give up those clock speeds to get into a thin light laptop. It's actually closer to a 2060 than it is to a 2070.
Huh.
Right? So that's gonna make people a little uneasy. And remember, the only real difference between a desktop 2080 and a 2080 Max-Q part, or a normal non-Max-Q part, is clock speed and power. It's got the same memory bandwidth, it's got the same memory interface, it's got the same amount of memory, same type of memory, same amount of CUDA cores.
Wow.
It's just simply you giving up those clock speeds to get into a stupidly light and thin laptop. I mean, that's thin, right? But still, that makes you a little uneasy. And to give you an idea too, in gaming, I couldn't get Tomb Raider, Shadows of the Tomb Raider to run, which does have some ray tracing support in it. Mm-hmm. Because the game can be a little flaky. I couldn't get that to run, but I did run Battlefield 5 and I ran it at 1080p. Mm. I set it to 1080p Ultra, and I set RTX, the DirectRx DXR to Ultra setting. DXR off, 90 frames a second, 1080p. Hey,
I saw it with my own eyes.
You saw it with your own eyes.
You were like, hey, come over and watch this.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Go
nice
in,
and smooth.
Turn it off, reboot the game, go back to the same spot in the game. Look at the same reflection, 45 frames a second.
So from 90 to 45, RTX off to on.
Yeah. So that is it makes you like, ooh, that is kind of like. Now, to be fair, NVIDIA can tune drivers, EA can tune Battlefield 5. This is not the end. We don't know, right, what the end is. This is sort of like the beginning of when Battlefield 5 came out with the ray tracing support and RTX, and definitely performance was not great. I gotta say, 45 frames a second isn't bad. I would definitely not run it at DXR Ultra. I would go down a couple notches. I like 60 frames a second, but you are paying for RTX 2080 Max-Q laptop, and you're looking at 45 frames a second. You don't have G-Sync on this particular laptop. That's a little painful. It's a little painful, and it's gonna make the controversy over ray tracing, the controversy over RTX is not going to go away. People are still going to be uneasy about it. We'll see. It's going to keep changing as games come out, as drivers get better. But the last thing I do want to leave you for true believers, for true green believers, is the last one. This is 3D Mark Port Royal 1.0 graphics. The same thing I just ran. You see the 4,146 I got out of the GS75 Stealth. And then you see the performance of all of the other laptops, the Alienware, the ROG Zephyrus, all of those GTX 1080, 1070, 1070 Max-Q, 1080 Max-Q, they're all 0, including that RX Vega 56 because Port Royal does not run. There's no hybrid ray tracing support. And that's kind of the key messaging on ray tracing is if you believe there is a future in ray tracing, you're going to want one of these laptops. Price, I promised I would get you the price. I did get the price before the end of the video with Core i7 8750H with 1080p 144 Hertz with 512 gig PM951 SSD with GT RTX 2080 Max-Q and 32 gigs of RAM, $3,000.
$3,000.
5 pounds.
Okay.
Of course, people can go, oh my God, $3,000. Well, 1080 laptops, very similar pricing. They were not cheap. When the original 1080 laptops were not cheap, 1080 Max-Q laptops are not cheap. You're getting all the bells and whistles in this laptop. You're getting a 5-pound laptop that, again, we just showed you in conventional gaming, clearly faster than 1080 full tilt. And some things slightly slower than 1080 full tilt, but you are looking at 5-pound laptop. And for comparison, I brought out that old-fashioned laptop.
This is how things used to be.
That's how it was just 4 years ago.
Dang.
Right? 5 years ago, this was a gaming laptop. 5 years ago.
Yeah, now this is...
And this is what you now get. The performance of this is stupendous compared to that in CPU, SSD, screen, and graphics card. There's a big difference. Again, remember, this story is not over. We are going to continue to see results. We're going to continue to see games, more updates. But I will say GS75, because this is about the laptop. You do not buy the GPU without the laptop. Fantastic laptop, right?
Yep.
Great runtime. Awesome gaming performance, 17-inch screen for people with bad vision like me, which is a huge deal. 15-inch panels really don't work for us old-timers. Great CPU performance all around and 5 pounds. It is incredible to get this performance, both CPU, screen, and GPU in 5 pounds.
It's beautiful.
So it's amazing. We'll see it though. If you're looking for definitive RTX, it's not over. Wait. This story's going to keep going.
Well, again, thank you for all the deep testing you do. That's one of the things our fans like, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Cool.
And stay tuned for more laptop RTX testing because they're coming in
They will
hot and heavy.
continue to come in.
Yeah, we'll see you later.